So,
Are we live, Zach?
I think we're live.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
That's usually your job.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? So it was funny. So speaking of chin masks, so there was I went to a grocery store, and I'm not gonna say which one. It was not in Nashville, but there was a pretty funny post or like sign right by the register, and it said, this is like a professional sign. It said, wearing a mask for the 30 minutes while you're in the grocery store is nothing compared to an employee wearing it on their entire shift. If you see them taking it off and pull it down for a moment to breathe, please refrain from saying anything.
I saw that same sign. I know where you were. Piggly wiggly moneagle.
It was just funny, and it is. I mean, it is tough to wear a mask all day, but
yeah,
it was just that was on every register. So I guess
I'm enjoying watching all the football coaches really struggle with the mask game and putting it on properly, and you can just tell they've been told they're required to wear it and they just hate it. They're always like taking it down to yell at somebody. Like, kind of defeats the purpose.
Mouth reading or lip reading, right? So all right, so I sent that Mindset Monday out yesterday, and
that was really good. I love that.
Well, good. I'm glad you liked it. So this was a book called Crucial Conversations by Kerry Patterson and several other authors. But this was a quote that he said that I think just resonates with a lot of what we do. Sometimes agents try to reinvent the wheel and shake up their business a little bit just to keep it exciting. But he said the key to real change lies not in implementing a new process, but in getting people to hold one another accountable to the process. Right. So it's not about the next newest, greatest process. It's about doing things consistently over time and keeping each other accountable. So that's what 40X is doing. That's what hopefully a lot of the people in the room and watching are doing as well. So thank you all for keeping each other accountable and keeping me accountable. Hunter's good about keeping me accountable. Yeah. You asked me to show up a little early to make sure we didn't have any tech troubles.
And that's what I'm grateful for today. Are you ready for gratitudes? All
right, I'm ready for gratitudes.
A pretty seamless tech launch to the current sales.
So far, so good. So we think.
Stresses me out.
So you had something about you had a video to share with us.
Oh, So growing up in the 80s, partial 70s, Fred Rogers, big part of my life, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I came across a video of him accepting, I believe it was in the late 90s, the Lifetime Achievement Award for his program from the Emmys. And so this ceremony just struck me as something that we ought to watch and consider doing now.
That's great. Let's check it out.
So you got Tim Robbins. It's the late 90s, so excuse the tuxedo collar.
For giving generation upon generation of children confidence in themselves, for being their friend, for telling them again and again and again that they are special and that they have worth. It is my honor, on behalf of everyone here and on behalf of the millions of children whose mornings you have brightened with your kindness, to present you with this Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, it's a beautiful night in this neighborhood. So many people have helped me to come to this night. Some of you are here, some are far away, some are even in heaven. All of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Would you just take, along with me, 10 seconds to think of the people who have helped you become who you are? Those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you in life. 10 seconds of silence. I'll watch the time. whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must be to know the difference you feel they've made. You know, they're the kind of people television does well to offer our world. Special thanks to my family and friends, and to my co-workers in public broadcasting, family communications, and this academy for encouraging me, allowing me all these years to be your neighbor. May God be with you. Thank you very much.
That was pretty cool.
Yes, there have been a couple of documentaries, and then Tom Hanks did a movie about his life. So
Have you seen that?
I've seen both the documentary, and they're just, I mean, both I'd highly recommend. He is such an amazing person to do what he did for so long, and kind of.
Yeah.
So anyway, big fan of him.
That's cool. Yeah, so there's a cartoon now. So I don't know if that was around for your kids, but it's called Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. So my kids watched it when they were little.
Okay.
But I guess they're still little. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the it's kind of a similar thing, but you can't replace that with a real person. So it's a cartoon. But anyway, that's pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So if you haven't already voted for Colin's going to come up in a little bit, so you'll see her. But you can vote for her up through the next 10 days. So go to voteforcolin.com. It's super easy. You can click on a link on our website, and you can vote for many people, or you can just vote for her. So it'll take you to your NAR site. You do need your NARJ number. If you have trouble finding that, you can look it up there, where you can ask.
Not a big deal for Village to have someone on the board. I mean, it'd be nice, but it's more important to have someone like Colin on there leading. It's an important role for our community and for our industry. And so having someone like her who cares about the agent, who's knowledgeable about all this, and we'll get into some kind of issues, and you'll kind of see that come out here later in the program.
Yeah, indeed. So education, I'm not sure I haven't previewed this, so I don't know what's going to happen here.
I'm loving the guns there.
Good morning, Village. It's Teddy Pins, and still rocking the metaphorical hangover from Jumpstart. We had 4 rocking days that finished yesterday, so congratulate all those that went through Jumpstart. And I've got your education update. So no class after sales meeting today, but tomorrow, Thrive, 9 a.m. We want to see you, so please join us there. Thursday, we've got Boomtown with stats. I mean Zach Goodyear. So know what you're doing with the database on that. All right, part of our we've got some special editions here. Okay, so put these in your calendar. Tuesday, October 27th, next Tuesday, I've got 2 hours of free CE on 1031 Exchange. I sent you an email on that. If you haven't got that yet, please RSVP so we can get you continuing ed credit on that. That's 2 hours, 11 to 1 on Tuesday. And then part of continuation on Know What You're Selling series is my appliance basic training with Jim from Galaxy Property Inspections. That's 2 hours of free CE as well. Y'all don't believe me about this, put your powdered tang in your clothes washer to deodorize it and kill the mold, but he's going to tell you firsthand, amongst many, many, many other amazing tips. That's a 2-hour class, November 12th, 1 to 3. That's part of the Know What You're Selling. All classes are posted to YouTube and to our channel, so take a look there. Our message today is brought to you by this, and our tech tip is brought to you by Lee Fund. He shared this in the Jumpstart, and that is using Folio. Folio is a plugin for Gmail, which I highly recommend. It's pretty awesome. He was sharing that it organizes emails, files, and contacts into smart folders, so you'll never have to search for documents, email, or file again. You literally just tell it, hey, it's a buyer, a seller, a contingency. Pretty amazing. Thank you, Lee, for that. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you Thursday with Zach Goodyear. And don't forget to RSVP for those 2 CE classes coming up. Thanks, love you, Village. Have a great one.
That's awesome. All right. I didn't think powder tang was
Love
coming
the
up.
energy there.
It's good. So here's a quick list of what that is. This will be, again, it's on the Village calendar, and tune in to that.
He's exactly right. I don't believe the tang just yet.
You're going to try it, though.
You got to run it. You got to run a cycle with no clothes in it, right?
Probably.
After you put the tang in.
Surely. So we planted a lot of trees, which was really cool. We had a lot of agents come out. In honor of you, last week, we did get some Michelob Ultra.
Oh, good.
So one thing I noticed, the cans, this is fascinating, the cans are taller and skinnier.
Yeah.
So it's like they're
part of
really
their
going, it's
branding.
part of their brand. They get,
Yeah.
it's like you can,
Yeah.
I
I
feel like
had, I
bigger
had one
hands.
too at the Titans game, just because we played Tuesday night. It was fresh in my mind, and I had the choice, and I was like, I'm gonna try this Mick Ultra, and it was terrible.
I think I
It
had
was
one.
like a watered down Miller Lite. you
Yeah.
know?
That was saved a calorie though, 1
It's
calorie.
like a half a calorie or.
So anyway, so thanks for all the agents that came out. That was a really good time. We planted, I think, 12 or 13 trees, and nobody really had to dig many holes. I think I lost my. I had to go get more glasses yesterday because I buried a pair of glasses. I'm pretty sure it fell off, and I think it's at the bottom of the hole. I didn't want to dig the tree back up, so.
And we'll be adding a plaque out there. We actually did this as, the company's part wanted to do this in honor of Betsy Moran, who was a longtime village agent who suddenly passed away a couple of weeks ago, non-COVID related, but just had a bout of illness and was young, healthy. It's just kind of a real tragedy. She was close with Amy Barnes and a lot of our agents here. She did a ton of work for Room in the Inn, Charles Strobel. I mean, she was just a really awesome person, great agent who was at Village for like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah. Very peaceful person. She was.
yeah.
You could be in her presence, and it was just.
So we're going to put a plaque
So
and kind
peaceful.
of honor her out there in the new tree garden, and but worth for those of you who knew Betsy, and just wanted you to know that. So.
That's great. That's good. Thanks for doing that. All right, so we have Kelly Ladwig who's going to come up. You want to come up, Kelly, and take Hunter's spot, so I can do some hardcore interviewing with you, ask you a bunch of questions. But so Kelly, if you don't know Kelly, Kelly is going to talk a little bit about herself. But for a few minutes, we were talking 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
and you had a pretty cool story that made me light up. And so give us kind of a 30-second background of who you are, where you came from, and how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so I'm pretty new to real estate. Joined Village end of May. Like a lot of people, once COVID hit, had a life-changing moment where it's like, I need to do more with my life. And it's something I've wanted to do since I was in my early 20s. So spent 15 years in television news, interviewing people, doing stories like that. Then I spent about 15 years in advertising, high-end branding, most recently for Nissan and Infiniti. And I am in the process of building a house right now, which is how I started an Instagram account 18 months ago. Really wanted some information on how do you build, how do you, there were so many questions I didn't have that I needed answers to, and I couldn't find them. So started an Instagram account to try to get some inspiration, and it appears there was a need for that. So I'm up to about 70,000 followers today in 18 months.
That's 70000, so 70,000
Yeah.
followers in 18 months. That's not too shabby.
No, and it's I share a lot of inspiration. But what I've found is not only has it been a great platform for my build, but it's turning into a great platform for real estate also. Because really when it comes down to it, it's all about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
This broadens my sphere of influence because suddenly my sphere is 70,000 plus of people that I'm talking to on a daily basis. So
I'm one of the 70,000. I do
would
feel
like-
special. though.
I'd like to get up to 100.
Mr.
so-
Rogers told me I was special, so
You are
I'm
special.
going to be one of 70,000 special.
Yeah.
So you've got, all right, so quick background. So your background was you had some TV news interviewing background.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important, in my opinion, because when you learn how to ask good questions,
Yeah.
you really learn how to connect with people. And so I've never talked to you about this, but
Yeah.
in my opinion, that's probably some really good experience. So do you find that being valuable?
I think so, and I think the more that I'm moving past just posting in a feed and doing stories, that is super important. And what I see people really reacting to is me asking questions of people. On a job site, why are you doing this? Or if I'm touring a home, what do you like best about this home? So again, it all comes down to relationships and how do you interact with people and how do you get them to talk about themselves, because it works really well.
So in an authentic way.
in
right?
an authentic way.
I think that authenticity piece is really valuable.
You know, and that's I struggle with that, right? Because once I started doing more real estate, I'm like, oh, I need to be showing sold. I need to be, you know, I mean, I look at Wendy Monday, who has an awesome account, but that is her, and that's uniquely her. And I think that's such an important thing is how do you find who you are and stay true to yourself? And I started going down that path, and I realized it didn't feel right, and I wasn't getting the response that I needed.
Mhm.
So I had to kind of reimagine that maybe for me, you know, using this as a place to help do some real estate look different than it does for Wendy or Chad or any of the other great accounts that Village agents have.
Yeah. So I've never fallen in love with so many windows as I have on your feed lately.
It's Christmas Eve right now because my windows and doors are being installed tomorrow morning.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going to be at the house at like 7 a.m.
So if y'all ever want to see just cool windows and mountains of like research on all the cool windows out there, she's got it. All right, so you had a really cool story that you talked about, and so you just give me the there's some California folks and give me some,
Yeah, so a lot of the people that I interact with, I get a lot of DMs and a lot of people interested in learning more about moving to Nashville and everything. But about a month ago, I got a DM from a woman who said, hey, my kids told me about your account. You're posting houses that we love. We're thinking of moving to Nashville. We'd really like to come here. Can you help us buy a house? And I'm like, okay. You know, I mean, and there's so many people that say that, right? And then aren't serious. I'm learning, how do I vet people? Anyway, she and her husband came to town and spent 2 days with them. They are looking for a home in the 2.5 range. They are also getting homes for 3 of their children in the 1.6 range. And they're moving a company with 19 people here to Nashville.
So my math, like I ran out of numbers there. That's a lot of numbers.
It just makes me really happy, and
That's
it'll pay for my
unbelievable.
windows. So
That's unbelievable. And so you also, so first off, congratulations. That's
Yeah,
such
thank
a
you.
cool story.
Well, we'll see what happens, but it feels good at
That's,
least.
yeah, but right, that introduction and that connection. So good job. But you also just, the way that you rolled out the red carpet for them made me really impressed because I don't think most agents do it the way that you did it. You just talk about kind of, you know, when you met them and what that was
Well,
like.
you know, I think about what would I want, right? And if I'm coming and spending, you know, in excess of $5 million, how do I want to be treated? I found out she is a real estate agent in LA, which made me a little nervous. But what we did is we narrowed it down to some ideas, but they didn't give me a ton of information to go on other than we think we want here, we don't know. So I did a whole booklet printed out with everything, every home that we were going to see. We were looking at 5. With pictures, places for comments, had that all bound for them. I had a Yeti cooler full of drinks and coffee and snacks, went to Baked on 8th and bought a bunch of stuff, and pretty much set them up so they wouldn't be hungry because if they're hungry, they're cranky. But we started with that, spent all day Friday together, spent part of the day Saturday together. They went home and sent them flowers to be there when they got home, thanking them for their time and hoping that they would move to Nashville. But they were between Nashville and Austin, and they have decided Nashville. They contacted me this week wanting to put an offer on a house, and I had to do the dreaded, are you pre-approved? No, but we're okay. I'm like, until you're pre-approved, I can't do that. So I sent them to my partner in the pre-approval process,
Yeah.
and they're getting all locked up, and they're coming back, I think, in 3 weeks.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good work. Well, that's awesome. Flowers, snacks, coffee, drinks.
It's an investment, but I think
Yeah.
it's an investment that will pay off.
I think the key piece was if they're cranky, if they're hungry, they're cranky, and if they're cranky, they're not going to like
Right.
Nashville, and they might choose Austin. So good
Yeah.
work. It's a
Awesome.
testament to you that they chose Nashville. So
Thank you.
congratulations. If you don't follow Kelly, go do it because she needs 70,007 followers.
Yeah, so home on an Asheville Hill. Somebody asked me if it was home on an Asheville Hill, and I'm like, no, it's Nashville.
Yeah.
So
Home. Oh, because it could work.
It could work either
Nashville.
way.
Home on a Nashville hill.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well,
Awesome.
thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Good job. That's awesome. All right, what do you got, Connolly?
Connolly.
Connolly Corner.
Next slide.
Next slide. Belmont.
So this is a lesson I thought to share about not being stagnant. So having grown up here in Nashville, Belmont was a tiny college. I mean, Did anyone go there here? You didn't go there. There he is, in the back. So, Lloyd, but it was a small school, and just kind of getting some good leadership, having a growth mindset, making good decisions over the course of 20, 30 years. And Belmont is really thriving, and it's kind of having a moment this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, they're hosting a presidential debate, and so you'll see that. It's been working on it for a little over a year. You'll see some closings around, and then in addition to that, they announced last week that they're launching a new medical school in Nashville. So.
That's huge.
Yeah, they're going to do it in conjunction with HCA. If you know, just kind of another little history point about Belmont and Nashville, the Massey Business School, which is at Belmont. Jack Massey founded HCA with the Friss back in the 60s, I guess, and so now Belmont's doing a partnership with HCA, so all of their training and stuff will go through HCA. It'll be the third medical school in Nashville. You know the other two?
Yeah, Meharry and Vanderbilt.
Meharry and Vanderbilt. And so there's really a shortage of a lot of healthcare workers, particularly in more rural areas. And so it'll address some of those needs and be another good thing for our city.
That's really huge.
Yeah.
I missed that news.
Yeah.
That's great.
Very cool. All right, on the other end of the growth spectrum, Tab.
Is it coming back?
Tab is not coming back.
Oh.
Yeah. Unlike Ultra on the marketing side, Tab has not done that. And for those of you who don't know what Tab is, that's the reason. It was like the OG of diet drinks back in the 80s.
I didn't realize it was a Coca-Cola company either. Just
Yeah.
saw
So
that picture.
Coca-Cola has like 400 brands that represent less than 2% of their overall revenue.
Wow.
And so Tab was one of those, and they're phasing out about 275 products, including Tab, Zico water, Odwalla, the protein drink, that one. So they're just kind of culling through and trying to focus in on the brands that they think have more marketing, I guess, power or are doing better. One of those being, have y'all had Topo Chico? You know
No.
Topo Chico?
No.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
it's
a
like
lot of people
all
have.
the rage of like sparkling water, and they're going to come out with an alcoholic version of that next year. There's already an alcoholic version of Topo Chico. You just have to add the alcohol yourself. It's called Ranch Water. You gotta try this. Topo
Ranch
Chico,
water.
tequila, and lime. It's pretty solid.
All right, there you go.
There you go. I think that's all I got on that.
COVID-19 vaccines.
COVID-19, yeah. So a couple of, just kind of thought, I'm always interested in this. Where are we? What's the news? There's kind of two different tracks. There's treatment drugs, and then there's vaccine drugs. Both of those are kind of going on parallel tracks. Neither had a great week last week. I mean, you had Eli Lilly on the treatment side paused the trial of its antibody drug, and must have had some sort of serious concerns to justify hitting the brakes at this point. So that wasn't good. And then the World Health Organization found that remdesivir,
Yeah.
that has not shown to have. I mean, I hadn't hurt anyone, but it's not proven to be effective in
Right.
treating it. So kind of two setbacks on that. And then on the vaccine side, Pfizer says that even if everything goes smoothly from here, we really wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't be able to request an emergency authorization of its vaccine before the third week of November. So at least a month out there. And bottom line, the most optimistic scenario for the vaccine being out in the, in the world and available is probably the beginning of next year.
Got it.
So
Okay.
that's where we are on that. But there was some interesting research. Just, I don't know, do you know your blood type, Zach?
So I'm O positive.
You're O positive.
Mhm.
Well, so that's the best blood type to be for COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
You're pulling my leg.
No, seriously, you're less likely to get it, and then if you get it, you're less likely to go on a ventilator or go into the hospital to have like a really bad case of it, according to these studies. A positive, me, more likely to get it and more likely to struggle with it. So I got it. I didn't struggle with it, fortunately.
Fascinating.
But anyway, that just came out, so I didn't even know what my blood type was until that.
If you give blood, they'll send it to you. Sometimes.
So what's going on? I just thought this was fascinating. So you wouldn't think that we're in an economic downturn, right? We've got COVID going on. When we had the shutdown orders, LASIK surgery and all non-essential health got shut down, right?
Yeah.
And then we're in this pandemic and like jobs are uncertain, money's tight. You would think that LASIK surgery hasn't really recovered or bounced back.
Mm-hmm.
You would be wrong.
Because is that insurance covered or is that not?
No,
insurance?
it's
Yeah.
all elective. It's all elective. So you can't go get LASIK surgery and have your insurance pay for it. So you're a couple $1,000 per eye a lot of times, and so you would just think that it might not have recovered as quickly. But a few things, we have more time on our hands, and maybe that just like deck building is up, and some other backyard gardening, things are going on. LASIK is also recovered, and I think it could be important economically. That just people feel like this is a short-term thing. They feel like the economy's going to come back, and they've got some that the recovery is in process. And so I think that's kind of going on, and because like in 01 when we had a recession, LASIK surgery went down. In 08, 09, LASIK surgery took a big hit. So it is interesting that this time, even though we're in an economic downturn due to the pandemic, that people are reacting differently than they did in 01 and 08.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I will say my wife's practice is hiring right now. She got, for an administrative assistant job, over 220 resumes and applications.
And she's in healthcare.
Yeah.
Elective, right?
Elective healthcare, yeah.
Yeah, she helps people that are struggling.
Mm-hmm. But this is from a job standpoint. So they're super busy, but they also are, and so they're growing, so they need to hire somebody. But that was pretty impressive to me how many people, and she said it was, a lot of restaurant service industry, a lot of, people, some people that had kind of a lot of COVID related job losses, but some that were, slower or later to come, like August,
Yeah.
September. People that maybe were kind of keeping their business running, hoping that things were going to loosen up, and then it just didn't happen as fast, and so finally they had to let go. So that'll be interesting. On some level, you kind of wish that we'd all just, gotten through this, really buckled down super hard in the front end, and then gotten through it. But this stuff is hard to predict. I'm not sure what the right answer is. I've heard a lot of different opinions.
Well, one new term I learned last week, COVIDpreneur. And so with, tens of millions of Americans losing their job through the pandemic, a lot of them have said like, hey, it's time to start my own business. And so if you go to the next slide, look at, that is the growth in new business applications. These are people who have gone out and filed for an employee identification number. So they've taken the step. These are like real businesses.
That doubled in a matter of months.
So basically they filed more than 1.5 million new applications, up 77.4% increase from the second quarter, and then a huge increase from this time last year. Mm-hmm. So the fastest pace that they've ever been filed. So you'd think that a downturn is not the best time to start a business, but again, there's some confidence in the economy. Interest rates are low. A lot of smart people, due to no fault of their own, are out of work, and so all of those factors have led to a huge increase. And really, I think small business and entrepreneurial is really the key to our economy being the leader in the world, I think. And so as you think about, you know, I mean, it's like probably the most important thing, like our political system to do, like create an environment where entrepreneurs are willing to go out and take a risk and go for it, and start companies.
That's pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive.
So that's across the U.S.
Now, half of those this article said half of those businesses will fail in the first 5 years, which that's one way to look at it. But also, like, it means half of them will also be around in 5 years and successful. Like, it's a pretty good.
So that could be everything from, like, you know, a independent, you know, lawn mowing,
to a
house
real
cleaning
estate
business,
agent,
or
whatever.
you know, or a full-on brand new company with 50 employees.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
On the other end of the small business spectrum,
Big business.
the huge company Amazon has added a new sorting and distribution center that will bring 1,100 jobs to the Middle Tennessee area. So the Laverne mayor said that Laverne continues to show that its business-friendly policies and low taxes continue to attract global leaders in business to our city, said Mayor Jason Cole. So anyway,
That's great.
that's pretty good news.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. We talked about this last year when Nashville, for the first time, had ascended to the top 3 in terms of this survey that shows Nashville being the best place for real estate investment and development. So that's a great thing. So number 1 is Raleigh-Durham, number 2 is Austin, number 3 is Nashville, and then Dallas and Charlotte round out the top 5. Atlanta's number 11, but
Indianapolis on there?
it's PricewaterhouseCoopers and ULI, the Urban Land Institute, do this survey, and so you can see over the last 8 years kind of how Nashville has risen up the ranks, and to hold steady for 2 years in a row in the top 5, pretty impressive.
That is great.
All right, so markets. Great week last week, still strong. The Dow and the NASDAQ have gone up for 3 consecutive weeks. NASDAQ actually for 4. And the Commerce Department reported retail sales are up. And it was really a healthy, above expectations. So just more signs that the economy is doing well. Kind of opportunities for improvement in terms of jobs and things are clothing and restaurant spending are both way down. In terms of looking ahead, things looking iffy. We are seeing some rebound in terms of COVID cases. That's no good. Job growth has been a little bit stagnant the last few weeks. The number of Americans filing for unemployment is at a 2-month high. And it's not looking like we're going to get that second round of stimulus negotiated through. We're so close to the election, it feels like the Democrats and Republicans are not going to get on the same page in the short term. So that's all out there economically. So I want to invite up Colin to talk about
Colin
this.
is back.
She's back from COVID. She had a little bout of
post-COVID.
Feeling strong? Maybe?
Yeah. I am back.
Welcome.
It's good to be back. Thank you.
So,
Let's talk lawsuit.
Let's talk lawsuit. So this has been going on for a little while. This is from National Association of Realtors, NAR, was, and a couple of other of the largest firms like Remax, Keller, Realogy,
And Home
Berkshire.
Services of America.
Yeah, those 4 were all sued in a class action lawsuit. This started in 2019, and it's over the buyer commission issue, right? And so the plaintiffs are basically seeking to have home buyers pay for their own agent directly rather than having it go through the listing agent and then cooperate with the buyer's agent.
Correct.
And so let's talk about NAR's position versus this position.
Correct. Okay, so I think the biggest flaw in this suit, in my eyes, is that they're claiming that by paying buyer commissions, that it's a violation of the antitrust, of the Sherman Antitrust Act. So, how? So the seller is claiming that,
Antitrust is basically saying that the seller doesn't have a choice in the matter. There's a monopolistic kind of situation here, and they're kind of cornered into paying these buyers' commissions without their knowledge, which is not really true, right?
no, for one, nobody puts a gun to your head to sign a contract. 2, commissions are negotiable. And 3, sellers have lots of options. This seller could have done an FSBO. This seller could have done a list for less option. The seller could have used Zillow or Open Door, any of the other market disruptors right now. The seller has a lot of choices right now in the market. And so to claim that they're being forced to sign a contract and pay buyers commissions, I find completely flawed logic, and I also don't really understand why the judge has allowed this to proceed and did not dismiss this case. But they're still in the discovery phase. We will know at the end of this month, I believe, what next steps are with this lawsuit.
So basically what's happened so far, the lawsuit was filed, NAR and the defendants asked for it to be dismissed for those reasons.
Right.
And the judge said, no, we're not ready to dismiss it, we're gonna let it play out. So it hasn't been lost, but it's gonna go another step forward. And getting back to kind of the seller's, the seller could have a listing agreement with a listing agent and saying, I want a zero cooperating broker. I don't want to pay.
I'm only going to pay 3% to my listing agent, and I'm not going to pay anything to the buyer broker.
So it's all kind of disclosed and upfront in the best way. I think the concern for our industry is we've done a good job of improving representation, which, as Bobby Noreen says, is not have
Nothing
anything
to do with compensation.
But making sure that both buyers and sellers have good representation, and kind of preventing that dual agency piece that gets so many people in trouble and provides more lawsuits on the other end of the transaction.
Yeah, I think that if the worst case scenario is that this lawsuit wins their point, and buyers now are forced to pay for their own representation. For one, most first-time home buyers can't afford that. Lenders aren't going to finance your buyers' commissions. So yeah, we would be looking at buyers without representation going straight to listing agents and opening up a lot of liability, buyers losing representation. I see a lot of flaws in this. I'm not overly concerned that it's going to go very far, but I think the main important thing is that we're talking about it and seeing what the perception is out there. I think at the end of the day, the listing agent for the plaintiff clearly did not do a good job communicating how our business works to their client. Otherwise, this client would never feel as though they had a metaphorical gun to their head to sign this contract and didn't understand that your commissions are negotiable. And yes, to be competitive, paying 3% to the buy side is recommended, but nobody forced him to sign this. Nobody forced him to do any of this. So I feel as though that the biggest takeaway is communicating with your clients. Explain to them everything that they have questions about, and explain to them what their rights are.
Yeah, I think my favorite comment from, kind of in doing some research on this was, I predict at the end of the day, this will be a huge nothing burger. Nothing burger. And the NAR lawyers will huddle, seek the path of least resistance that conforms with the outcome, and they will wordsmith, and we will have another boilerplate, listing agreement, exclusive right to sell form with an additional paragraph of verbiage that satisfies whatever the judgment mandates. So again, this is not something we all need to be worried about, I don't think, at this point, but we did want to go ahead and talk about it in case you get a question about it, just so that you're in the loop. And it's another great reason to vote people like Colin onto our board so that we have people on our leadership that understand kind of how the whole system works and will support agents.
Absolutely.
So thanks for being here.
Thanks, yeah.
Good job, Colin. Welcome back.
Yeah.
All right. So, thanks, Hunter. So, Village Tree Planting Day was a success. We showed that. That was supposed to be earlier.
That's
It was supposed to be before the picture, but
just to reiterate.
I digress. So, so mortgage rates, October 20th, 2020. 30-year fixed rate is 2.65%. No change from last week. 15-year 2.25, 2.25%. Gosh, that's just nuts. Again, I keep saying this. Call your people, talk to them about rates. I'm still blown away at how many people I talk to about this that don't know. Now, refinancing is a little bit different. There's some extra, points are a little bit higher for that. Rates are a little bit higher for that. But for purchasing,
That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good point. Colin mentioned that last week.
Connie mentioned that last week.
Colin.
Yeah.
Connie mentioned that last week that there is an extra, quarter point, I
I
believe.
can't remember exactly what it is, but
for a refi. And I think part of that is that the volume that's going through the system.
That's
right
not
now.
Connie's. That's a Fannie Mae.
Yeah, that's not Connie. Fannie
piece.
Mae has so any refi loan with any loan officer is going to have that.
Yeah.
But
The
this
bottom
is your
line
new buyer
Yeah.
rates.
And so we talk about this a lot, but for every 1% change in mortgage rates, how much do you gain or lose roughly in borrowing power? 10%. 10%. That's right. So last year, this time, rates were about 3.5%. So the market has gone up about 5% since then, on average.
But I can
But
afford a
you
bigger
can
house.
afford 10% more. So actually, it's like the market has gone down 5%. In a good way, from an affordability standpoint. So
Don't confuse me.
that's funny math. So anyway, all right, these are out. These came out last week. Forgot to put these on the slides last week. So if you haven't posted these on social media, please do. They're good to look at, and Caitlin puts these out every month. So Williamson County, average sold price $710,000. Woo! Hot dog.
Wow, so that's up 24% from last year.
Now, so that's the same month last year. So there's probably, looking at month over month data sometimes can have some
skewed.
spikes like this, right? So but the point is there was a lot of expensive stuff that sold this year, or this month, September of 2020 compared to September of 2019. Same thing with Davidson County, 17.5% month over month, or same month year over year. So days on market is down in both markets. Total new listings are down in Williamson, but up in Davidson. And the total properties for sale, so total inventory, is up in both markets. So that is good to have more inventory from a standpoint of choice, and also more inventory helps level out pricing just a little bit, which is good. Because price increases are nice. but
One of the
you don't
things
wanna ramp it up too fast.
that's I think slowing down inventory.
What's that?
There's a foreclosure restriction now, and so you've got a number of people that may need to sell their house, have lost their job, can't maintain their payment, but they're not being forced kind of through that process to sell their house because of the moratorium on foreclosure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting point. I'll have to look at that data and see how much that is out there. That's kind of a shadow market, I wonder. So enter coming soon, comingsoon.villagetn.com. We have a few broker opens to announce. So City Living Group has a happy hour and tour on Thursday of the James, which is downtown in the Gulch, or in the Gulch. Really cool location, right next to Icon.
It's
I mean,
awesome.
literally right next to Icon in the Gulch, just behind it. Awesome location. There's some really good price points here too. So that's if you haven't been here, go check it out. 4:30 to 6:30 on Thursday.
It's a Nick Dryden design, and I think Mainland developed it.
Yeah,
back
yeah.
then. It's
So-
a really, really solid local development team.
Yeah, there's 31 condominiums there. So especially if you've got somebody looking for affordable price points in a really cool location, that's good. And then two more. Leanne and Anna Shea Vandekamp have another as well on Thursday from 4 to 6, so you can go to both. Start in the Gulch and end up in Belmead or vice versa. But 114 A LaSalle Court. This is a really cool house, really cool location. I actually used a funny fact. I lived at literally one street over from this. Was my first house in Nashville. So
Really?
yeah, that's pretty cool. And then Sion has 4 Bridal Way, which I put it on a map. I didn't have a picture of this, but you can see where it is, and that's going to be right now, today, starting right after the sales meeting until 2 p.m.
You just turn
So-
left out of the office on 21st.
and just keep
head
going.
south.
And if you get to Old Hickory, you've gone about 2 minutes too far.
Yeah.
So go check that out. 4 Bridal Way Trail, Nashville, Tennessee, 37215. So map that. Go check it out when you're done with the sales meeting, and then that's it. There was a lot of good stuff today. Thank you.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I didn't know my blood type was superhuman.
You've got a good blood type.
Pretty excited about that.
You got Belmont presidential debate,
One thing going for me.
new medical school.
New medical school.
That'll keep like, I mean, keep
Really good
people
stuff.
moving here. Good, I think that's stuff like that. Education's been so important to Nashville being a hub for where young people wanna live and grow.
Indeed. Thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks for everybody who's here, and enjoy your day.
See you soon.
See ya.